Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And welcome to Beyond the Title. This is Insider's Executive Thought Leadership Series. My name is Tony Katsabaris, and I'm the Country Manager for Insider across Australia and New Zealand. And I have the absolute pleasure today of introducing Belinda Esterhammer, who has joined us for our Executive Thought Leadership Series. Belinda, why don't we start by you sharing with the team a little bit about yourself?
Sure. How much time do we have?
Let's let it flow naturally. Over to you.
Hi, my name is Belinda Esterhammer. I'm originally from Austria and have been in Hong Kong now for 5 years. Hong Kong now for the second time. I lived in Spain, Philippines, Australia, Hong Kong now for the second time. And yeah, my background is in marketing and consulting. So been in consulting, then in the Philippines, I worked for UNICEF. Hong Kong, I ran an executive leadership program focused on female leadership for a Big Four company before I left the company 3 years ago to start my own company called Springboard Group, a marketing and consulting agency. And I help companies with their brands. I also work to build communities and also, companies. And through that, then I became the head of APAC for SaaStock, a community for software as a service investors, founders, and executives. So SaaStock runs conferences around SaaS all over the world. And through COVID, obviously, the business pivoted. But in the past, we also had the pleasure, and I also had the pleasure to speak with Hande, for example, on a webinar back in, I think, April. Yeah.
Sorry, go, Belinda.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Ever since COVID happened, obviously, everything changed. And we're going to jump into that in a second. But I also recently started FemFounded, which is a community for females to get the nudge to get started. And yes, I just work with them basically on the personal branding, on starting a company. So we do that through online courses. Yeah.
Thank you, Belinda. And once again, for sharing your time with us so generously. As we said before the camera rolled, I've researched your background. It's highly impressive, and we're very thankful for you sharing your time with us. Before we get into the formal part of the discussion, obviously we live in interesting times at the moment. Say things went back to normal. What country or city would you go to, like hop on a plane and just go because you're missing it so much?
Apart from home in Austria to see my family, if we take that out of this, I would fly back to Sri Lanka. I was in Sri Lanka beginning of February before everything went really crazy. And yeah, ever since then, I just been waiting to go back. Yeah. Obviously, I don't think I can go there within the next years, maybe a year or two. Who knows? I went to Melbourne also before everything kicked off. Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, why such a strong attachment to Sri Lanka? Is there something that grabs you?
Oh, I just love, so I'm a beach person, even though I'm from Austria, a landlocked country. I just love beaches. The people there are really lovely, and also it's not yet that touristy. So, and the food is amazing. So yeah, not really. I also want to go back diving to the Philippines. So yeah, there's a lot of from Hong Kong, everything's so accessible. So it's really like one day.
All right. Now, as I said, I did research you, and I can't believe, I couldn't do half of what you do, let alone what you're doing. There's a driving force. When you jump out of the bed each morning, what drives you? What's your Ikigai?
I just love working with people and helping them, but I'm also more a people pusher than just a coach. Yeah, so I really love to push people out of their comfort zone and really get them uncomfortable with new things, and then also really excited and help them to find their potential. So yeah, I think my Ikigai would really be how passionate I am about working with people and also to give them the nudge to get started.
So Belinda, as a leader, there is a fine balance, right, between pushing our people and breaking them. How do you sort of set up the rules of engagement so that it's a push and the trust is there versus break? How do you think about that?
I completely agree, and obviously it's really different if you push a team than if you push an individual entrepreneur who works with you. But I think in terms of teams and pushing them, I think it's really, really important to set boundaries and to really set up all the expectations. You really need to communicate. I think communication is just everything. You can't just set up these expectations and not talk to them or do check-ins. So I think communication is everything, and also ask them, like, what can you actually do, or how can you grow? So I think, it always has to be something, even though it's out of their comfort zone, it has to be something that's still realistic.
So it's like we've got a relationship agreement and, strong and regular communication. That's the key to being able to help our people actually realize their potential.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're going to change gears. So we're going to go from a very serious starting question to, if you were a movie character, which movie character best represents you and why?
So there's not one, but it's a hybrid of several ones. And I actually also checked in with some of my friends, and they're like, there's not one that describes it. So it would be a hybrid of Olivia Pope from Scandal, because she just loves to fix things. And I think also one of the reasons why I love events so much, and also working in events, it's really this thrill and excitement. And also, there's always this factor of something could go wrong. But I'm much more of there's no problems, there's only solutions kind of person. So I'm always, I enjoy that. So Olivia Pope. Then it would be also a bit of Michael Scott, I guess, from The Office, because he's just crazy. And I would say I'm a bit crazy too. And then also I think it's like a bit of a mix of, we also have Monica from Friends, because I just love to control things sometimes. I'm not as tidy or anal about like she is. Oh my God, hell no. But yeah, there's some similarities. And I think then also a bit of like Alexis and David Rose from Schitt's Creek. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, I think you said it was going to be 2. I think we ended up with 5 or 6. But I like that. It shows me why you've got such a capacity to do so many things. So you and I have gone out for dinner, Belinda, and you've had to relieve yourself for a second. You've left your phone unattended, and I'm a very devious person. I've deleted every app. But if I knew your number one app that I couldn't delete, what app would that be? What's the app that you just could not live without?
Well, first of all, you can delete everything, because I have everything on the cloud. So because I'm used to just losing things or destroying things, I'm serious. I'm not even kidding. When I bought my phone cover, I actually went there and I said, what's the most idiot-proof cover you have? I don't care how big it is. The first app I would say that's most important to me is actually WhatsApp, because I need to communicate, with people across the globe, and it's just my most used app.
And Belinda, is that so I mean, we all have a barrage of communication channels. If I look at our organization, between Google Chat, email, SMS, phone calls,
Slack,
WhatsApp, blah, blah, blah. And you've clearly called out WhatsApp's really important for you. How do you manage? I mean, we're all sort of struggling with that these days. How do you manage that channel wave that hits us every single day?
Oh my God, yes, totally. So I really set up time. So for example, if I really need to do deep work, I have my Pomodoro timer, where I just, set my time. I really put my phone on airplane mode and turn off all notifications on my computer and just work away for 25 minutes on a dedicated task. And that really helps. I think it's really blocking out all that unnecessary noise. Obviously, I also, jump into this rabbit hole where I just find myself on Facebook scrolling through the news, feeling bad, feeling distracted. An hour later, I'm like, oh my God, I have all this work I have to do. So I really try to limit my social media use, especially nowadays, because it also gives me anxiety.
All right. Quick one.
Yeah.
Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
Boom. Okay. Next question. I mean, I would, this next, I wish I could actually do, but anyway, if we could time travel, Belinda, and you could go back in time and talk to your 21-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself?
I would tell myself to just not listen to other people, like do what you're really passionate about, and don't compare yourself to others. I think that's the most important thing, because imposter syndrome, I think, also already hits when we're at uni, and we compare us with our peers and all of that. For example, I was already working in a marketing job back even when I was at uni, but people were telling me, they're like, why are you working? Like, you study, and I'm like, I'm studying marketing. I'm actually working already in a job, where you will probably have issues to enter after uni. But I think it's also like, all these like limiting thoughts outside, just, ignore them.
Okay. We live in a world of feedback, and probably no more so than today. Like, you think about the instant feedback and the social trolling, but let's move all of those social pressures to the side. Through your career, you would have had people that you worked for. What do you think is the harshest feedback that you've ever received?
I was trying to think of it, and I think the one thing that really stuck with me was someone once said to me, they said like, oh my God, you're pretty, like, why are you working here and not just gonna get married and find a rich husband? Yeah.
Okay. And your answer was?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm too stupid enough to find a man.
Or maybe too smart, but anyway, we can.
I was just playing into it, but this is Hong Kong, and sexism in the workplace is still real, is still a thing. This was not too long ago. That was when several years ago, when I was still in the corporate world. I think that was it. All
right. Well, and I warned you, Belinda, I may go off script. So, hash me too. Women in IT is what I've been exposed to a lot, and actually trying to build teams where we've got a nice diversity, not only gender, but on a number of fronts. What are your views on the modern world and hiring, and how to find that right balance of team with gender and other elements that we need to consider?
I think it's sad that we still have to have gender quotas, and that it's, not just something that's already here, or even that companies, I think, was it one of the big four, they just announced that they will globally pay all their female employees as much as their male employees. That just happened, I think, last week. And I'm like, why did it take until 2020 until you do that? And also, that's so embarrassing. If I would be you, I would just do it and not, announce it. So I think there's still a long way to go. Even also if we talk about things like maternity leave and, and also ageism, especially when it comes to females. But then also people who want to re-enter the workforce. So I think, there's a lot of different factors that we still have to work on. But I think, it's a slow journey, but I think, we're on the right track. We're raising issues around it. And I think a lot of companies are doing already, not a lot, but there's some companies that are doing a really good job in really making sure that they have diversity. And for me, diversity is not just gender diversity, it's really making sure that, where are your people from? Like in terms of ethnicity, age diversity, background. So there's so many different factors that for me play in when it comes to diversity, not just gender.
I don't think I've ever heard a nicer answer to that. So well done, Belinda. And, and we all have a role to play, by the way, in reshaping our future. And through people like you, I know I've got two daughters, not that it's only about gender diversity, but I think our world moving forward is in a far better place. Okay. Last 5 or 6 months, we can't get away from it. I mean, the game has changed. What's been your biggest challenge as a leader, Belinda, over the last 5 or 6 months?
It was definitely this like sudden shift from things are not that bad, things are not that bad, we can do this, like I'll see, telling people like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be there in July in Bangkok at this conference, I'm gonna be there, and then all of a sudden it was a global lockdown and everybody was just stuck in a place. I always say it was like this game where you play the music and then you change around chairs. What's this game called? Where you run around chairs as a kid?
Musical chairs?
Yes, it's like musical chair. All of a sudden the music stopped and you had to just stick with the chair as in the country that you were in. And so I think that one of the biggest struggles was definitely to realize that this is impacting the whole in everything, but also, for example, I was really deep into events the past year and working on face-to-face events, so completely gone, and they were all disrupted. I was traveling once or twice per month across Asia, host events or go to events. So yeah, everything has just changed, and that also meant that people who used to also go into the office. I mean, I was always working remote, but for example, with the SaaStock team, everybody was in the UK in the office. So for them, it was all of a sudden like, oh, we have to work from home. And some people, didn't have good internet, things like that. So this was definitely also a global struggle. So in terms of leadership challenges, it was definitely how do we go from face-to-face to then, pivoting and quickly changing to virtual. And also with my other work, it was also, okay, so a lot of these things are not required, but what do people actually need? And so it was a lot of watching the trends and then also trusting the gut feeling and then just doing new things.
Thank you, Belinda. Is there a change that you've made to respond to the last 5 or 6 months that you wouldn't have made if COVID hadn't come about, but something that you think that, hey, that change, actually, I'm going to keep moving forward, even if we do return to normal? Is there something you want to share with the team that you feel like, hey, this is good, actually?
It's definitely quality over quantity. The amount of meetings, face-to-face meetings I had in the past, sometimes I just had back-to-back every day. But nowadays, I just, Hong Kong was never on a lockdown, but even now, it's just so okay to just say like, oh, let's just jump on a call, like a 15-minute one and not a 1-hour call. So I think that's something that I really appreciate nowadays, that we became much more mindful of each other's time, because also Zoom meetings or calls are really, really tiring. It's just so different than being face-to-face. So yeah, I really hope that, in the future, we're also going to be much more mindful of each other's time, and there's also much less of waste of productive time that we could spend instead on working or even just reading a good book. And I think another change is also much more conscious traveling and sustainability, because obviously I always said I'm really passionate about sustainability, but for example, I leave a massive global footprint with all my flights. But with all these changes happening, I think the whole world just became much more sustainable, or also are now rethinking eating meat or eating less meat. Where does your meat come from? Things like that. So I think there are some good changes definitely that come out of this.
If you don't mind me asking, where does your meat come from? Was there a documentary or something that you saw that sort of sparked your thinking on that front?
No, so I have a lot of friends that actually work in the sustainability industry. One of my good friends, she actually runs Asia's largest online media platform. So yeah, I've always been really passionate about also knowing where my meat comes from. I think also because I'm from Austria, and we used to just, get our meat or bacon from the farmer, fresh. Also the milk, you get everything fresh from the farmer. You see the cows on, outside in the mountains, and they're happy. So yeah, I barely eat meat, but if I eat any meat, it has to be organic, and I have to know where it comes from.
And I think that's one of the best things about the world in which we live in today. Irrespective of decisions that we each get to make, personal choices, I love the fact that we've got information at our disposal that maybe in the past we wouldn't have had. So at least we can make informed decisions that are in line with our values and our beliefs. So, this is just another example of that. Okay, my last question to you. Back to the personal front. If you were to leave our audience with your motto in life, what is your motto in life, Belinda? Like, if we were to write your epitaph, what would you love that to read?
Fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy ride. But no, I think generally my life motto that I live by is really, if you don't like something, change it. You're not a tree. That's also, why I moved countries, and why I am where I am today, because I'm a big believer that you're the one who controls your destiny. So, if you don't like it, just change it.
Okay. Well, Belinda, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. I cannot thank you enough for you generously sharing your time with us. We're very proud at Insider to be able to meet and learn more from leaders like yourself. So on each of those areas that you articulated as your mission, I wish you every success. And post-COVID, I hope I have the opportunity to meet you in person and even go a little bit further in some of those directions, because I find you quite fascinating.
I hope so too. Thanks so much for having me.
It's been our absolute pleasure. Thank you. Share.
You. Bye.